Good morning and welcome. This time I'll call the Paulding County Board of Commissioners called meeting on June the 5th of 2018 to order, and thank you for your participation. Thank you for being here. Do we have any citizens, or would you bring the seat forward, please, Brian, and silence yourself over, please. Thank you. If y'all join me in standing, and as I pray out loud very silently, I appreciate it. I love the 23rd Psalm, so let's use that for a prayer. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. Lord, let's pray for your restoration today. We pray for your leadership. We thank you for the opportunity to lead. We thank you for these staff members that work hard for Paulding County, the citizens that are concerned and interested and love Paulding County. Thank you for the first responders and their willingness to go into unsafe situations to keep us safe. So Lord, we just thank you for your love and your mercy and your grace in Christ's name. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under minutes, we have none. Under announcements, we have none. Under invited guests, we have none. Under bid awards, we have none. Under reports, we have none. We have no citizens that have signed up wishing to speak. We have no consent agenda this morning. Under old business, we have none. Under new business item number 1, discuss action to approve the reception of $479,217 from the state of Georgia for the project described as install wildlife perimeter fencing, wetland mitigation credit reimbursement at the Paulding Northwest Atlanta Airport in Atlanta, Georgia. This amount includes $150,000 federal funds. The local share for this grant is to be paid by the Paulding County Airport Authority in the amount of $130,459.95. The total project cost is $609,676.95. Grant paperwork reflects a project completion date of May the 31st, 2020. At the board meeting July 25th of 2017, the board voted unanimously to pass the fiscal year 18 grants that would come from the feds and the state. And the Georgia Department of Transportation puts out an intent letter to all airports that have airport improvements. And the first letter of intent was larger because it included the apron area that was associated with the terminal area expansion plan. With that lawsuit being finished about 6 weeks ago, it's taken a little bit longer to get the final numbers because that sum $400,000 was pulled off the letter of intent. And out of an abundance of caution with the board, I thought it was very important for us to get together and reconfirm the new amount. So that's what new business item number 1 is about. Is there any discussion?
Well, you don't have a motion yet.
We're not meeting at 2 o'clock.
No.
Okay, I will entertain a motion on new business item number 1.
I'll make a motion. I have a question for our attorney first. My concern is the source of the $130,459.95, the local participation in the grant. The agenda item here reads that it's to be paid by the airport authority, but the contract reads that it's to be paid by the sponsor. And in the contract, the sponsor is both the airport authority and the county. So I'd like to craft a motion to approve this, but I want to be certain that the the local funds are coming from the airport authority and not from the county. And so is there, does this handle it? Is there a way to do it? Do we need to do an escrow type of a situation, or what would you think there?
I actually think this, because we've changed the wording of this new business item to add the section about the local shares to be paid by the Paulding County Airport Authority. We want to insert the word only. That may be helpful. But other than that, I think this motion is sufficient. Do you want to put the word only in?
So that it would read that the local share of this grant is paid only by the Paulding County Airport Authority?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll make the motion to approve with that change.
You have a motion with Commissioner Davis's suggested change, and do I hear a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Collette. So we'll open it up for further discussion.
Just for clarification, the 130,000 plus will be put in an escrow set aside ahead of time, is that correct?
This doesn't require that. It just requires that the airport authority be the only
Oh,
entity that
okay.
can pay
We're
that.
only took care of it, right?
And I don't know if Ms. Pollard wants to comment, but I think this would handle that concern. I think that.
We had a lot of discussion around this meeting coming and this issue, and it's not the first time the board's handled it. I want to ask about this contract, though. Dave, when did you first get this contract?
Last week.
Last week, so that's that. While you were in Florida?
Got the email regarding the DocuSign, the electronic signature, on Friday, not last Friday, but the Friday before. The actual hard copy of the contract, I actually don't remember on it.
Okay. All right. Well, the DocuSign came on the 24th, which was Thursday, and that was the day that we had our meeting. The contract came to you on the 18th, the previous Friday. And we, you know, one of the primary purposes of this board is to enter contracts. You got a contract that was different than a previous contract, and you got it on the 18th, and it was signed, and you got it on the 18th, and we didn't get the DocuSign until the 24th. I guess maybe we couldn't have fit that in on the meeting that we had on the 24th, because it could have come in later in the day, or even if it came first thing in the morning, it might be hard to get on the agenda. But you get a final draft for a contract that you're going to sign, the very first thing you need to be doing is sending it to your attorney. And shortly after that, the very next thing you need to be doing is sending it to your board. And you had this on the 18th, and it didn't come up until, well, you never really intended to bring it to the board. You were told that you didn't have to vote on this, and there was no intention to bring this to the board. And that's frustrating to me, because one of the first powers reserved to this board in our enabling legislation is entering contracts and approving contracts. So the DocuSign came in on the 24th, and you signed it on the, I believe it was the 30th. Is that correct? I think it was the 30th you signed it. And then it got stopped. And I guess you signed it when you were in Florida last week with church, right?
Affirmative.
What? Sorry, I didn't hear
You
you.
said affirmative.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. So you signed it when you were down in Florida through the DocuSign?
Yes.
Well, the contract does have your signature on it. The DocuSign is in process. Here, hang on. And it's got a couple of signature pages that have your signature. It does have your digital signature and a timestamp on it. The timestamp here was signed the 30th. Viewed the 30th, signed the 30th. The issue there, though, Dave, is that when you sign a document with DocuSign, it tracks your IP address. And it's a technical thing that I deal with on a daily basis, but basically, IP address is tied to your location on the internet. And the IP address that this was signed from comes out of this building. And you were in Daytona, Florida at the time. So there's no way you signed this when you were in Florida. But it says it was signed on the 30th. So that tells me that somebody in this building, not you, signed this contract. Is that true?
I would defer to Rebecca.
Hold on, Rebecca wasn't part of that. You're not going to pass this off on an employee, Dave. The contract was signed. You just told me you signed it when you were in Florida. You could not have signed it from Florida coming from that IP address. And I verified that. So somebody other than you signed this document without the approval of the board.
I don't really know where you're going, Ron.
But where I'm going, Dave, is there's a legal document that requires a chairman's signature that has the chairman's signature that the chairman did not sign.
An electronic document.
It's as legal as a physical document. It's as legal as a physical signature. If it weren't, you wouldn't be getting $500,000 from the state of Georgia.
And by verbal confirmation that I agree for my signature to be on there, do you not think that that's a confirmation?
No.
Okay.
No, because the other problem with that, Dave, the other problem with that is it means that you didn't read it. You said, go ahead and sign it, and it was signed, and you didn't read it. Now, you could have read the draft that you received on the 18th, but you didn't read the DocuSign document, so you don't know if it was different from the draft. And fortunately, when it got ready for the next signature, because this requires multiple signatures, we had an employee, multiple employees actually, who were willing to say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't right. We can't sign this. So to be sure, they asked Lonnie, because asking your county attorney a legal question makes a lot of sense, Dave. And they asked Lonnie, and it took Lonnie all of 3 minutes to say, no, the board hasn't approved that contract. The terms are different, the amount's different, the contract's different, so the board needs to approve that. Okay, this should be a housekeeping item at this point. I mean, we voted, it was the same people on this board that voted unanimously back in July of, what'd you say, July of 17, to approve this contract. And it's the same people on the board now. Now, I want them to have the fence. I can see the issue of a safety issue. I think the fence probably should have been put in years ago. So it should just be a housekeeping issue. And we have an employee who raises an ethical question and says, I don't think I can sign this. Legal counsel says, no, you can't. And then the word comes back to you, and you don't want to have a meeting because you've been told.
That's incorrect.
Okay. You came in here this morning and you made it sound like out of, what did you say, an abundance of caution that we were going to have this meeting? You called a meeting, finally, after telling somebody to sign something and they wouldn't do it. And they refused the order because they knew it wasn't right. You called a meeting. You didn't bother to ask when anybody was available. You said, we're going to have a meeting here at this time. Now, I understand that the chairman can call a meeting. Our meetings can get called by a chairman or it can get called by a majority of commissioners, post-commissioners. So you can call a meeting, and what you did to call a meeting wasn't illegal in any way. It would have been, sure would have been nice to have a question in there that says, well, we need to have a meeting. I mean, the email could have easily read, we need to have a meeting on Monday. I've got a contract that needs to go back to GDOT. It's for this, what we've already approved. Can you guys find time to meet with us, meet on Monday? But you didn't do that. You sent an email and you said, we have to meet 10 o'clock Monday morning. Okay, well, I was the only one who didn't have a conflict. So we go to shuffling around and all that, and then yesterday morning, finally, you relented and agreed with Todd on the phone. You agreed that we would move the meeting because you called me as I was pulling into the parking lot and said, I just talked to Todd, we're going to move the meeting till tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And I was already here. I had to take care of some other stuff in the building. I said I was going to come up anyway. We came in, you announced the movement. So all this should have been done, should have been done and over with. But it's not, because Dave, when you call a meeting, you really need to communicate with those commissioners and say, hey, here, let's do this. Because now we have to have this meeting. And I don't want to get lost on that, because we were able to, yesterday morning, we were able to find a time that we could all meet together. And so it works. And we're going to take care of this today, and it'll be all right. The bigger concern that I have is the way this has been handled. You had someone else sign your name to a contract. You insisted that employees with ethical and legal concerns sign the contract.
And that's incorrect.
You did, and then
Correct.
Okay. And then it was only when we had employees willing to stand their ground that you called this meeting. Now, you've got to work with people, Dave. You can't bully them. And when you try to bully, listen to me,
Mr. Davis, I don't bully anybody.
Okay. When you tell somebody to sign something and they raise an ethical question, confirm it with legal counsel, and then tell you that they're not comfortable doing it, it's not anything but bullying. And you don't have the authority to bully our employees. I couldn't agree with you more. Then don't do it.
Got anything else?
Perhaps. But I'll let someone else speak if someone else has something to say.
Floor's open, guys.
Okay, well, see, the issue with you having somebody else sign that document, telling somebody, go ahead and sign that, is when it turns out that that's the wrong thing to do, and it backfires, and you say, I didn't tell anybody to do that. I didn't tell them to do that. Because then you're throwing an employee under the bus. And I know that right now that, in this situation, is me presuming that you would do that. But I mean, you did that a month and a half ago with another employee. We had a conversation in executive session over that, in personnel, and I saw the look in that employee's eyes at the realization of what you had done and what you were doing. So my concern, on top of the legal issue with you not signing this document, is the fact that you're putting employees in a really tough situation when they're doing what they're asked and trying to do a good job, and then that putting them at risk for being reprimanded. This stuff's gotta stop, Dave. It can't go on. And I have stressed over this a lot more than I would have liked to stress over this. Because part of what my job here is to watch out for the county. But as a senior manager in this organization, my responsibility is to watch out for my employees, our employees. And the relationship that we have with our employees, we work hard to build. And the trust that goes into there, we work hard to build. And especially with our department heads, we've got to rely on our department heads. When we get a yes from a department head, a yes has to be yes and a no has to be no, and we have to know that there's trust there. And when you do things that violate that trust, it doesn't just affect the relationship with you, it affects their relationship with the board. It affects their relationship with their employer. There's a morale issue. It makes it harder to hold on to good people, and we have got some really good people working in this county.
Amen.
And a couple of them recently have shot way up the list in my mind. And Dave, this piece of this job where I've got to look out for the employees, I will not sit by while we have employees who are mistreated, where we have that relationship abused. I can't do it, I won't do it. And I don't know how to stop you. I'll just be honest with you, I don't know how to make this stop. I'd love for it to stop. I'd love for everybody who works here to just get along with everybody. And I know that there's personal differences, and that happens in any workplace environment, but Dave, this is big and it has to stop. And you're not lost for anyone.
Well, I'd like to know, this is the third time we voted on this. Is this correct? This will be the third time we voted on the fence?
Yeah.
Since I've been here, yes. The first time was a 4-1 vote.
Yes.
I think Tony Crow voted no, everybody else voted yes. Last year it was a 5-0 vote. I think pretty much everybody up here wants the fence and believe we need the fence. It's a safety issue, concern. What I don't like though, it seems like every time we vote on this, it's always tied up in something that's not true. Like this time it came up that it had to be voted on yesterday. If we didn't vote on it yesterday, we'd lose the money. That was the drop dead date. So I made a phone call to a member of the board, DOT, and they said no, drop dead date's the 30th. It would be nice though if we knew by the 15th, because if Paulding County's not going to use that money, we can use it somewhere else in another county, another airport. I understand that. So in reality, we didn't have to have this call meeting today or yesterday. We could have done it at our 14th meeting. It would have been fine. That's what bugs me. I don't like all this saying it's got to be done. Last time we voted on it, we said it had to be done that day. I think we had a call meeting then, didn't we? And if it wasn't done that day, it wasn't going to get built.
And I'm
It
not
didn't
sure
get built
this is the
anyway.
third time, I'm thinking this is the second time, but I'm not really sure.
It may be the second time. I think it's the
I think
third.
it's the third.
I think it's the third.
Because there was a 4-1 vote and then there was a 5-1.
That's right,
I remember
yeah.
that.
Okay.
That's right. So, you know, we just need to be honest about it. There's no reason, I mean, everybody up here wants a fence, and I don't know why we treat like we don't want it, because we want it. Let's just be honest and let's do the vote right. I mean, there's other things I could have been doing today too. I'd have to rearrange my schedule to come up and have a vote that we could have had on the 14th. Doesn't make sense.
Well, the explanation there is quite simple. Over DOT, Georgia DOT Aviation Programming is an organization called Intermodal of Georgia, for the state of Georgia DOT. And the person who is the director of that is Ms. Carol Comer, who came up through the DOT ranks and was the airports program manager before she got promoted to Intermodal, that covers ports and covers rail and a lot bigger responsibility. And out of her office came the date of yesterday, June the 4th. Out of her office. Now, You know, you didn't come in and talk with me personally, which I would have enjoyed, but in conversations on the phone with you know, our representative, our DOT representative now on the DOT board statewide, former chairman Jerry Sheridan, he and I talked at length, and he did get a date that was farther down the road, but and we were initially, as you recall, planning on voting on this on the 14th, but it came in from Intermodal and Ms. Carol Comer that we needed to have it done by yesterday before they.
I've left messages with Carol Comer. She's in Ireland, so she can't call right now. But when I talked to Jerry Sharon, he called Carol's office, and Carol's office is the one that gave him those dates. So I don't understand why they give you different dates than they gave.
That was last week when Jerry called to get a date. So I spoke with him last week, and he confirmed that there wasn't the same urgency that was being conveyed.
Well, there is some confusion there when different, Intermodal is a higher office than aviation programs, and from staff reporting to different people, the dates got, the differential dates came through, and we worked on the soonest date. I spent hours on the phone trying to set all this up, so, yeah, it would have been nice to just vote this on the 14th, but we can.
If there was actually a date, that was a drop dead date that was yesterday, we would have had it in writing. And I said that last week, that if there's a drop dead date and we have to have that, just send the email and let us know, give us all the information, and then there's no talk about it. I talked to Jerry Sharon, and he did not get anything extended. It's exactly what it was from the beginning. He did not get anything extended. The date's exactly what it was. We had till the end of June. They wanted to get something by June 15th, so that if we did not accept it, they would have an opportunity to give somebody else an opportunity in another county to accept this money. I don't think there's anybody on this board that disagrees that we, and says that we don't need a fence out there for wildlife. We do. It's interesting to me that the airport's opened up in November of '08, and that you can actually have almost 10 years that you haven't had a fence. Okay? Because if we're talking about safety, you deal with safety. We spend all kind of money out there doing all kind of pipe dreams, but we haven't worried about safety. And today, we're going to take care of this again, and we haven't stopped anything from happening as far as that wildlife fence. This board has not. And we will take care of it again today. I agree with Ron, and Dave, you and I talked on the phone. All you had to do was say, hey, we need to have this meeting, and what's a good time for you guys? Because we could have had it anywhere from 8 a.m. in the morning till 7 p.m. at night. It was important to me that all the commissioners be here.
It's important to me also.
And that's why I made the extra calls again yesterday morning. So to the public that we had to change it, I apologize that we had to change it, but I think it was important to have all the commissioners here. I will say again, it's been almost 10 years since the airport's been open, and if safety issues are important to any airport director, past or present, or to an airport authority, then take care of the safety issues. Don't spend your money on other pipe dreams out there. Take care of the safety issues first, and then we can talk about other things. I do have a question, Dave. You said you signed it while you were in Daytona Beach.
just authorize the signature of it. So I supported the
You
contract.
originally said you signed it.
You know,
This is not something that could-
Signature is something that's done through our staff.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
No.
Electronic signature is not. If there was anybody else up here that had done that, your heads would be going a different direction. Electronic signature is not authorized. You cannot authorize somebody to do that, electronic signature. I'm telling employees today that the one vote out of 5 up here is telling you you're not authorized to sign something, to push the button, to put somebody else's name on a document. It's not supposed to happen. When you sign and push that button, you're saying that you have read it. You're saying that that's your signature and you've read it. This is something that we had to vote on, and we have to vote on. Just because it was done last year, it's changed, it's out of date, it's expired, and it's got to be voted on today. Or the issue has to be voted on. And we cannot have our employees or somebody else at home or somebody else down the street pushing a button for electronic signature that says, I have read this, I have signed this, and I agree with it. It can't be done. It puts people in a bad position.
Other comments? Hearing none at this time, I will take a vote. Have a motion and a second, right?
Yes.
Okay. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
I'm for it.
The motion carries 5-0. New business item number 2 is discuss action to move the Thursday, June 14, 2018, 10 o'clock or 10 a.m. work session meeting and the 2 p.m. board meeting to Tuesday, June the 19th, 2018 at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. respectively. The issue here is the availability of legal counsel and the county attorney being available. We do not have a backup county attorney, so we have Ms. Skipper, and she is going to be on vacation on June the 14th. Will not return until June the 15th, I believe, or that weekend. And she would be unavailable also on Monday the 18th due to a trial or court case. So she would be available again on Tuesday the 19th. I would like to have our county attorney here to represent us because of the many different departments and different functions that they perform are much more in Ms. Skipper's knowledge base and wheelhouse, if you will. So that's why I brought this up. I didn't get any response from anyone, but Ron did send an email back, so I didn't know that there was any conflict, but we can talk about it here. Any discussion?
But you don't have a motion yet.
Do I hear a motion that we would change the date of the meeting from Thursday, June the 4th? Or you can make your own motions. Anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion, you deny, and leave the meeting as scheduled on the 14th.
We have a motion from Commissioner Davis that we deny and go ahead with the meeting on June the 14th. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Crowe. Is there any discussion?
Dave, you sound like you want money there. But you've been advocating to us for the last, week or so that you wanted to go forward without an attorney at a public meeting. It blows my mind how you come out here and you talk about how important it is that we have an attorney present when you've been arguing that we have this meeting without an attorney for a solid week. Now, we've already handled this. We already have a plan in place. The plan was to that Chuck Connerly, who's already familiar with our board, can be here in that role at her rate for that meeting. That's already taken care of. On top of that, you found out yesterday, because it came in an email, that he has a litigation update for us. Additionally, I told you, and I wasn't able to respond again last night after the first message, but I do have an issue that we need to discuss regarding litigation in closed session. On top of all of that, and all that we've already discussed, and what you already knew, there's bid awards for the fire department that expire that Monday, the 18th, I believe is the Monday date. So that bid award would have to be redone because it would expire if we move this meeting. Also, the water department has an issue to bring with us in closed session. And needs to have, I'm sorry, that's an open session, I'm sorry. Water department has some things they need to bring that they need to address sooner rather than later. So on those issues, plus the legal update that we would have to have Chuck here for anyway, it doesn't make any sense to move that meeting.
The fire bid I've been briefed on, and we have the ability to extend that.
We have the ability to ask. They don't have the ability just to say it's going to be extended. We have the ability to ask. We have no guarantee that it would be extended.
I'd like for y'all to maybe look at changing your motion just a little bit. I think we need to leave it on Thursday, June 14th, and add in there that we have Chuck Connerly represent us on the board at Lonnie's rate. And we've got a lot of business that needs to be done that day. And then we've also got if I'm not mistaken, unless something's changed, we've also got the groundbreaking that morning for the new jail.
That's correct.
And we set that up at 8:30 so that we could get that done and then get back in here for our 10 a.m. meeting. So I think we need to leave it on Thursday, I agree, but I would like to add in there that I'm not going to have a meeting without legal counsel. We never have. We don't need to start that now.
Thank you for reminding me about the jail. I'd forgotten about the groundbreaking. So I'd like to make a motion to amend my motion.
No withdrawal.
I have to withdraw? Okay. I would like to withdraw my motion.
Okay, your motion stands withdrawn.
And then I will,
You have to make a substitute motion.
you want to do this guy?
I'd like to make a motion that we keep the meeting on Thursday, June 14th, as regular scheduled, and that we have Chuck Connerly here at the same hourly rate as our county attorney, Lonnie Skipper, for both the 10 a.m. meeting and the 2 p.m. meeting.
Mr. Connerly,
I'll second that motion.
thank you. You have a second by Commissioner Davis. Discussion, Mr. Connerly has been employed by the county to serve as a special attorney for the conflict counsel and is not a backup attorney for Paulding County Board of Commissioners. The enabling legislation has the chairman who would nominate someone to sit on this panel as the attorney for legal questions and legal considerations. And the chairman would nominate for that, and then the board would approve who the nomination was. So I don't think this is a legitimate motion for you all to dictate who the county attorney will be on that June 14th date, if that's the date that's in the motion. So do we need to clarify that?
I need clarification.
Well, I mean, it does say that in order for someone to become the county attorney, you have to be nominated and confirmed by the board. It's silent on whether or not somebody can sub in or not. And I did want to say, I do have a backup county attorney, which is Leanne DeFore. However, she's on medical leave, so she's also not available. And I did want to apologize for causing this problem, because I didn't think it would be such a problem, but it is.
It's not a problem at all. No apologies needed. We've actually handled this week, Dave, and you're the one who put this on there.
Commissioner Bennett, you don't have the authority just to handle it. This is one of the responsibilities of the chairman. And I need to be the one that works to find somebody that you would be okay with, but the chairman and the post commissioners, I'm elected from the whole county, and the constituents from the whole county would require me to use my judgment to locate an attorney that we can all be happy with. I'd rather do it to the 19th, and I spoke with our county administrator at length about this to look at the options, and the 19th seemed to be a very good option where we could get our attorney that's with us every meeting. So there's no, as far as the fire bid extension, I think we can work on that without any problems. We can also work through ACCG. I've had a couple of phone calls with them. They'd like to come out anyway and observe our meetings, so that's a great option, I think. But to bring conflict counsel in that has that cloud of, hey, this is contentious issues that he has represented, I don't think it's the wisest decision for all the citizens of Paulding County.
So you're going to go forward with no attorney at the Thursday meeting?
No, sir. I will bring you, 2 or 3 names if that's what it takes.
Is one of those names Chuck Connerly?
No, sir.
So you're going to go forward without legal representation at a meeting?
No, I would.
Chuck is familiar with this board. He knows the issues. He's competent, more than competent in handling government issues. There's no reason he shouldn't be here, because at the meeting, we're going to need him here anyway.
Well, he can cover the closed session required litigation or updated litigation. That's what he's been doing, that's what he's been hired to do, and that's acceptable. But as far as coming in and standing in as our county attorney, the nomination comes from the chair.
We're not asking you to make him the county attorney, Dave.
The
I understand how that
nomination
works.
for,
just said that.
or who's going to serve as the substitute county attorney, I still read that in enabling legislation as something that the chairman is supposed to initiate. So that's what I would plan to do, Commissioner Davis, is to bring a couple of attorneys' names from ACCG. We're all familiar with them, and to have them be our legal guide and reference for that day if there is anything needed to be dealt with. At this time, we do not have any issues on projected agenda that would even require legal action or
Let them say, it shouldn't be this hard.
No, it shouldn't.
It shouldn't be.
It certainly shouldn't.
You have 4 people up here that are okay with having Chuck be here. We probably won't need him during the meeting, and usually you're okay. But if we need him, he'll be here. We will need him for executive session. So it's kind of silly to think that you need to get somebody else to be here and then us also to get Chuck. And we have talked about this through email a little bit this week. And I do not think you have the authority. I think we can vote on it now and be done with it. You make it very difficult to do the business of the county. I can tell you if there was a post commissioner that had asked somebody else to push the button on a DocuSign, on an e-sign, on something that's almost $500,000, we would be run up the flagpole right now. And you can ask another employee to do that, and then you can ask another employee to go ahead and do it and stamp it. And then you can go and basically ask us if you can go ahead and get it approved with head nods yesterday, and then us approve it on the 14th. Business does not have to be this hard. It's not rocket science. It's just about doing what's right. And it's not a big deal. We need to have the meeting on the 14th. That's when it's scheduled. And we need to have Chuck here anyway. And that's not your decision on getting anybody else here.
Well, I disagree. The nomination for who's going to be here on that date, or the contact and invitation to be here on that date, comes from the chairman's seat.
I disagree. I disagree with it.
I think you could also, Mr. Pownell, clearly understand that other people, that would be an easy thing to do also. Someone, a good attorney from ACCG to come out and be a neutral party, I go along with it fully that would be an easy thing to do. Who's making it hard? I'll be glad to provide somebody that's qualified.
Dave, as usual, you have 4 people up here okay with something, and you have 1 that's not. If the public knew, if the public only knew, if the public only knew what we've had to go through the last 90 days with you, Dave, I can tell you the public would know if one of the 4 of us had done that. This is uncalled for, it's unprofessional, it did not need to come up like this. We have let our views be known on this subject. It's not that big a deal, Dave.
Mr. Pownell, I'll be glad to provide a well-qualified attorney for the 14th or the 19th.
It's a prime example, this meeting is a prime example of how we work together to get all 5 of us here, do what we needed to do for the wildlife fence, do what we need to do for business, and you can't give anything. If the public only knew what we've had to deal with you in the last 90 days, Dave, I'm telling you, I still stand with the motion that we're going to have the meeting on Thursday, the 14th, and that we're going to have Chuck Connerly here. You do not have the authorization to change that. It's a board decision. It'll be a board vote. Obviously, from some other things that have happened, you need to realize what you have the authority to do, but more than that, you need to realize what you have the authority, what you don't have the authority to do. And if you wouldn't put us in this spot, you wouldn't have to hear this. And if anybody out there thinks that you can authorize somebody else to do a DocuSign or an e-sign, you're incorrect. It wasn't read. The document was not read.
For clarification, if we go ahead and vote on this, and this is a question to you, Bonnie, does the board still rule? If you get a majority vote here today, does the board still rule at all? Would be correct in doing that?
As I said, the enabling legislation is silent on this idea of a substitute county attorney, so I mean, I think you can argue it both ways, and I think that we have. I don't think anybody's getting a declaratory judgment between now and the 19th or the 14th. So,
Let's move forward with this for up, sir. Whatever happens, happens.
Can you talk a little bit more about the declaratory judgment, please?
I said, neither one of you is going to get to court between now and the 14th to ask a judge who has the right to have a substitute county attorney. And again, I never thought this was going to be such a big problem, but apparently it is, and I'm sorry.
Well, again, I am offering to recruit a qualified person to sit in this seat and to cover legal matters on either June the 14th or June the 19th.
Dave, you do recognize that Chuck will be here anyway, right?
How much money will they charge us? I mean, they're going to honor Lonnie's? They don't charge more.
Well, he would know that, he doesn't have anybody in mind, he would have to go get somebody. I just want to be clear, Dave, I get that you don't like Chuck and you don't want Chuck to be up here.
That's
The reality
incorrect
is-
also.
Okay.
Commissioner Davis, you said at least a half a dozen things today that put words in my mouth that are not true.
Okay, well.
And
this-
Chuck
this-
Connolly is a professional, experienced attorney. He has been employed by the county for a special litigious requirement that we've had, where one component goes against another component in our own.
Right, and as I said in email, that assumptions of mine that you don't care for Dave is based on your actions in open meetings where you try to belittle and embarrass him in an open meeting. So I get that you don't want him here. I understand that, but I do want to be clear, he's going to be here anyway.
Okay. Never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it.
Okay,
We
let's,
have, no, let's not, because I know what's gonna happen. I know what's gonna happen, we're gonna vote on this and it's gonna pass 4-1. And then when, at the end of the day, come on the 14th, when we're out there breaking ground, you're gonna have showed a side that you don't need to show in here. We're gonna have Chuck here anyway. It's kinda silly for us not to have Chuck sitting here when we're gonna have Chuck here anyway. So now we're gonna have two, and you're the one that says,
excuse me, sir. Chuck Connolly can time his arrival so that he comes for the closed session. He doesn't need to be here for the other agenda items. If he chooses to come early, maybe he just won't start the clock as early. If he's not required to be in here during the regular meeting, he would be required to be here for closed session for litigation. So,
okay, this is what I'll do. In just a minute, I'm gonna go ahead, in just a minute, I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and withdraw my motion. Because I'm not gonna sit here anymore and argue with you about it. And I'm not withdrawing my motion saying, well, I'm not gonna argue with you about it, Dave. This is just a prime example of how we've worked together to get here for this meeting, to do the business of the county, all five of us, and how you're not willing to work with us. So I'll withdraw my motion of that, and I'll make another motion, because I think this is absolute ridiculous, that again, you think you have the authorization and the authority to do things that you don't. And I would advise you to quit using the authority you don't have to do certain things, and I would highly advise you to quit asking employees to do things that they shouldn't do. So I will make a motion that we go ahead and move the Thursday meeting to Tuesday the 19th at 10 and 2. The skipper will be back. We'll still have the groundbreaking on Thursday, the 14th at 8:30 in the morning.
okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion
I
on?
do have a question. How's this going to impact you? The bid expires for the fire department. We can request an extension on that. Hopefully that'll work in our favor. If it doesn't, I guess it's a rebid process that should happen.
Simple fix.
Okay, hopefully we can get that extension on the expiration on that extended. Lonnie, you mentioned the water department. Is this going to?
It's not. That's, we have a verbal agreement with some property that we want to buy for the reservoir water lines. And so we are just going to have the contract on the agenda for you all to look at and approve. So that'll be fine.
Ms. Pollard, would you give us a sense of extension of 1 day on the fire? Now, I understand it's just going to be, just from your experience or background, to extend that 1 day, is it putting us in jeopardy?
I don't know that Tabitha really has that answer that she.
I can't answer that at this time. There are several unresolved issues within that bid that I'm trying to work through. Could this be used to sway that? It could, I don't know.
Mr. Baker, you have any weigh in on that? Nod your head.
I really can't answer that, Mr. Chairman. We did have Jennifer up this morning, and this discussion did come up because we knew that this was on the agenda for today. So we didn't know how the board was going to go with it. But we did have this discussion, and quite honestly, we don't know. It's outside the term, so it could go either way.
Any other discussion?
I think this is unnecessary. We have a solution that works, that we know we can get that bid taken care of. You're entering into an unknown over this, and I mean, Lonnie hasn't said it, but I would guess that it would be better to get that contract for the water stuff signed and approved sooner rather than later as well. Also, the litigation updates that we're going to get in closed session. Sooner is better than later. We've already moved this meeting from the 12th to the 14th. I appreciate Todd saying let's go on with it, but I can't agree that that's the wise thing to do.
I agree, 100%.
I believe what I've seen from the board here today is a willingness, after much discussion, to be flexible and try to do something different. But we have this other matter that has to be, that needs to be said about it. We don't know whether or not we move it forward and we will be able to do it.
All because somebody can't agree on one person. So, while I still can, I'll withdraw my motion. It's unbelievable, Dave.
I understand you're withdrawing your motion number 2.
I sure am, Dave.
That's,
So now we don't have a motion again. We're gonna start over.
Dave, for the sake of the county business, I'm asking you to be flexible enough to permit us to have Chuck here. It's not gonna hurt the counties for certain, and it will let us take care of the business that we need to take care of. And it's been duly noted that we've already changed this date to the 14th.
It's kind of silly if we.
You know, you can call silly, you can use whatever adjective you want. I'm providing a date where we can have our own county attorney, and I'm also willing to have it on the 14th with someone that I might invite from ACCG, a fully qualified person. So the whole thing's up here, his qualifications, you can pull it out a portion that there's no need to do it, but you know, we often have differences of opinion, and I do represent 160,000 constituents and not the fourth of the county.
You know, that you call, Mr. Chairman, you call the money we spend on Chuck a waste of money. But it's okay now to get a second attorney and waste even more money. Well, I don't think the money on Chuck was a waste, period. And it seems to me we have an opportunity to probably save a little money. We probably should do it.
I think there's a possibility that ACCG attorney will just come out on their salary that they get from ACCG. It wouldn't cost us anything. But I can research that. I just offer that as an option.
Then we have to call a meeting and vote on that.
If that's what it takes for it. Okay, so we have no motion.
No, we don't have a motion on the floor right now. We need a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we have the meeting on the 19th at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock with Ms. Skipper here present to be our legal counsel, That's my motion. Is there a second?
Could you repeat that, Dave?
He's just, he approved the motion as written. How about that?
Is there a second? Hearing none, I'll make a motion that we meet on June 14th as scheduled at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, and that an ACCG attorney is invited to provide our legal counsel that day. Is there a second? Hearing none,
I'll make a motion that we leave the meeting on Thursday, June 14th at 10 a.m. so that we can have the groundbreaking at 8:30, have the 10 and the 2 on that day, and have Chuck Connerly here to represent the Board of Commissioners. That's my motion, Dave, and then you can work on what you want to work on.
I'll second that motion.
we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
We're going to take care of the business of the county that day. We're going to get everything done that needs to get done that day.
Again, Commissioner Pownell, I've offered you a couple of options that would get that done,
We've
So
actually,
don't even indicate that your motion here is the only thing that is a workable solution. That's just not correct.
Dave, you don't know that anybody from ACCG will be available. You don't know the rate they would charge. You don't know that they're willing to be here. You don't know that they would do it under the salary that they already received from their regular employer. You don't know any of that. We know Mr. Connerly is available. It's been confirmed. We talked about this, what, a week ago? I mean, the dates blend in my mind, but it's been out there for discussion for a while, Dave. This is, I know that, I'll give you that there could be another workable solution, but you don't know that any of the solutions that involve other attorneys or any of that you don't know that that'll work. On top of that, Dave, you know, you're talking about going to get somebody extra who's like Vernon pointed out, an extra attorney for the day, someone who you then want to spend the time finding and vetting and submitting, I assume through email, for approval. I don't know if that requires yet another called meeting. I mean, I don't know. I get that you're trying to find a solution, Dave, but you don't have one that's solid.
I have another suggestion. This is the only other thing I can think to do. Mr. Connolly would be here anyway. Don't bring him up to the podium. He can sit in the audience with the staff if there's an issue. And if somebody will give me their phone number, I will call in by FaceTime and listen to the meeting. I can give you that option.
Sounds good.
We've done that before with most commissioners.
It's a conflict of interest.
Does anyone want to turn that into a motion?
Well, you already have a motion and a second on the floor, so.
The last motion that I have here in my notes was from Commissioner Pownell.
Thought he withdrew.
No, he didn't withdraw the last one. It's still up.
Hard to get things done, isn't it? I'll withdraw it again.
Is there another motion at this time?
I'll make a motion that we allow Ms. Skipper to join the June 14th meetings at 10 and 2 via teleconference.
Here we have a motion that we to keep our regularly scheduled June the 14th meeting and have Ms. Skipper conference in to provide legal representation. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pownell. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. That's the conclusion of our regular business. No one's signed up for non-agenda items. We have no executive session. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned by Commissioner Crozer, second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. We stand adjourned.